I'm guessing right now you're thinking about a pondless waterfall. If you're wondering what affects the cost of one. Guys, it's a common misconception that pondless waterfalls are much cheaper than a pond and easier to build. In this video, I'm going to demystify all of this madness for you by doing a deep dive into what affects the cost of a pondless waterfall, and I'm going to give you a rough idea of why it's not as easy to build a great waterfall as it sounds. By the end, you're going to have an understanding of what can go into a waterfall project and what is going to drive your cost up or down. First and foremost, let's talk about the cost of an artist. It sounds easy if you say it fast. Seriously, the artist part of building a waterfall can take a decade to get good at, a lifetime to master. After 30 years of building water features, I still learn something every time I build a new feature. I still get new ideas every time I go out and look at waterfalls in nature. Creating an incredible water feature requires more than just technical ability. It takes an artist. I spend so much energy on this part of my message because what you're paying for, in part, is the artists that are building your water features. Study the work of your chosen artists and know that the better they are, the more they're gonna cost. Enough with that guy. The next thing I want to talk about that's gonna impact the cost of your waterfall is the size. Obviously, when we talk about waterfall width, the wider you go on a waterfall, the more water that it takes to make it look great. It's gonna take bigger pumps, it's gonna take bigger plumbing, it's gonna use more electricity. If you wanna go wide and have little small intricate waterfalls, which people do request, it takes a much higher level of technical ability and a lot more time. Guys, the boulders get bigger, it takes a lot more of them. You need more rock outcroppings, which we'll talk about in a little while. Either way, going wide on a waterfall project is going to make it cost more. Length, easy to understand. Twice as long, twice as much. You can make changes to that, obviously, but that's pretty much the case. Height is a more important factor to talk about, and I kind of like to think about it in two ways. One is total height. Total height is the elevation change from where the water starts all the way at the bottom of your water feature to where it comes out, where you first can see it, all the way at the top. While a few feet of total height is plenty of height for a great water feature, here in Tennessee we often have hillsides that provide us with a lot more than just a few feet of total height. And higher is more work for a pump, and it takes more energy, electricity, to push the water to the top. Sometimes this energy requirement can be offset by using larger plumbing. Sometimes you need a bigger pump, sometimes you need both. Either way, the lift will cost not only in the construction end of things, but it also may affect the cost of continued operation. So that's it for height number one. The second height consideration is the height of each individual waterfall. Steep hills and tall waterfalls are awesome, but they also require more retention to help control the erosion situation, which can become an issue over time. If you've ever had a steep hill on your property, you know there's no avoiding erosion. To help control erosion from each waterfall, we build what we call wing walls. These are the walls that stretch out from the side of each waterfall in the feature. Wing walls create terraced areas that are flats on the sides of the waterfall that end up becoming the pockets for your landscape plants. That being said, taller waterfall equals bigger wing walls and more retention needs. In order to avoid building something that looks like a rock pile, the majority of your boulders need to be bigger than the height of your waterfalls. This means your wing walls are going to be bigger. The boulders in your wing walls are going to be bigger. The soil work that you have to do behind the wing walls becomes more important. Obviously, if you have taller waterfalls, all of this is going to increase your price tag. I also want to talk real quick about the number of sources and the complexity of your plumbing. In nature, waterfalls start with little small flows of water that join together into larger creeks, and then they form streams, and then they form rivers. Each step of the way, the flow increases. We can replicate this on larger scale water features. We can do it from a little to a lot. Guys, these design elements are super cool and they look very natural, but they're gonna increase the cost of your pondless waterfall project. This sort of leads us into a conversation about your overall design complexity. You can include pooling and ponding areas in your waterfall design. Small pools or large ones. Waterfalls that land in deeper pools of water sound amazing and they look natural, but it takes more skill, more time, and more materials to be this creative. The pools can be designed to handle aquatic plantings, fish, or even big enough for people to take a dip in. All of these fun ideas also will force you to make changes in other portions of your design, and the cost is gonna go up. Interaction areas can also be incorporated into your waterfall project. These are spots that encourage you to engage with the water. On one feature, my son Tristan designed a seating area in the water, which he named a chairia, and it was basically a flat stone patio area under the water where people could put lawn chairs. This is just the coolest way to relax and chill out and interact with your water feature. When we start building large-scale water features, we can start doing crazy fun stuff like his chairia, and behind the waterfall grottos like the one I got over here, and even streamside sunken patio areas. You're gonna get your checkbook out for all of these ideas, because yeah, they sound easy if you say it fast, but a lot of time and effort goes into these crazy cool little add-ons in your waterfall project. You know, the scale of your water feature is going to affect the cost, and it applies to every single thing that we've talked about along the way here, guys. The larger a water feature gets, the bigger the scale of everything gets, including the cost. Think of a small project on your computer screen. Select the image, stretch it out to a bigger size, everything grows. The boulders get bigger, the equipment you need to move them gets bigger, the pump size and water flow requirement grows. We can do party pumps, we can do adjustable flow pumps. All this stuff is cool because they allow you to change the flow, the mood, and the ambiance of your water feature on demand. All this comes at a cost. The bigger you go, your outcroppings and your retention needs grow. I keep talking about outcroppings. What are these? They're what makes the waterfall blend out into the surrounding landscapes when you get your landscaping in. Whoever saw a waterfall where the rocks are only inside the stream and touching the water? The stone always bleeds out into the surrounding landscapes. Bigger scale means you need more outcroppings, you need bigger outcroppings, and guess what? Cha-ching! You know, we also got to think about access when we talk about the cost of your waterfall project. Seemingly simple things can make a big impact on the complexity and the time requirements of your job. Projects with easy access and wide open spaces like on new construction take half the time of projects where there's finished landscaping, narrow gates, fences, paved surfaces, and all this other crap that we got to deal with while we're building a project. When your artists have more space and freedom, they can hustle more. They can spread their materials out more. Staging's easier. Everything is much less complicated. Access issues may also relate to truck access. If you can't get a tractor trailer to the job site, then you got to bring in a smaller truck, which might double your delivery expenses. We've had jobs where we couldn't get a truck up their driveway, or we couldn't even get a truck to their road. Sometimes materials might have to be delivered in a skid steer, one pallet or one scoop at a time. We've built jobs where we had to haul hundreds of tons of material and stuff back and forth, one bucket at a time. If you have access issues, expect that your project is going to be more expensive. Drainage issues can also potentially increase the cost of your project. You never want to run unfiltered runoff water into your waterfall project. Runoff has to be dealt with. It may require that you install drainage systems to divert and control the water, or the option is to capture the water and then handle it in some way so that it's pre-filtered before it goes into your feature. All of that requires more planning, more thought, more work, and it's going to cost you more money. Let's talk about underground issues. Are there any that might affect your cost? Are there gas lines that are in the way? Are there irrigation and drainage lines that are going to have to be dug up, moved, reinstalled? Stumps are a big one. We don't want to build next to a freshly ground stump. Those have to be taken out in their entirety, and the soil needs to be packed back in. That can be a big factor in the cost of your water feature. Now let's talk about sustainability quickly. It's another potential cost increase. If you're bringing rainwater capturement systems and tying them together with your project, it's super cool, but it's going to come with an associated cost. Then we're going to talk about bells and whistles. This is going to add up on your waterfall project, just like when you're building a new house or buying a new car. You can add lighting. It can be LED colored lighting, underwater lighting, or landscape lighting. You can do cool driftwood stuff to enhance the organic look of your water feature. You can decrease your maintenance needs by adding automatic product dosing systems. You can choose to have aquatic plantings, hardy plants, tropical plants, carnivorous plants, all in your water feature. You may want to naturalize the water feature by doing ground cover packages to soften the edges, custom landscaping, or even plant mature trees like we did to get some instant gratification. You can go ham on this stuff, guys. Your design can call for walkways, steps, and seating areas around the feature. You can do outdoor structures, pergolas, gazebos, outdoor living areas, kitchens, you name it. You can do anything. You can create a space where you can have year-round enjoyment outside. I'm going to tell you that your dream is only limited by your space, your desires, and your budget. Geographical location may also impact the cost of your feature in a few ways. Number one, some areas the soil isn't soil. It might be 50% stone. It might be river rock, sharp gravel, chert. We've seen it all. We've had to build on top of solid rock. We've had to jackhammer out solid rock. We've had to haul rock away and bring in new soil. I can tell you right now, my friends, crappy soil conditions generate a lot more work and a lot more cost. The second location situation is the cost of your products. Materials may be much more expensive in some places than in others. Like stones from Tennessee cost a lot more when we're working in Florida or California than they do when we're working here in Tennessee. And the last thing that I want to talk about relating to location is if you hire an out-of-town company to do your project, like us for instance, you will incur additional costs related to your job, including food, lodging, and travel expenses. This can increase a job's cost, but can definitely be money well spent if you find a company or artists that you've just got to have. So let's talk more about what's under the ground. You know, in another video, I just say the water disappears magically into the ground. It isn't really magic, kids. There's what we refer to as a reservoir in the industry. A reservoir starts with digging a big freaking hole in the ground. And I mean big. What's worse than that is once we dig and reinforce this hole in order to make it structural and long lasting, then we cover it back up where you can't see it. It's truly like burying money in the ground, but it's a necessary evil. I'm not going to go into how we build a reservoir. I want you guys to understand that what's under the ground is a lot of grueling work, and it comes with a price tag. This reservoir is sized mathematically, based primarily on water in motion. There's videos I'll link in the description if you want to go down that rabbit hole. But from there, the reservoir size can be increased based on your wants and needs. If you want to capture rainwater and use it for other purposes like irrigation, or if you want to just simply make the reservoir bigger so that you don't have to top it up in order to compensate for evaporation losses. Commercial reservoirs are designed bigger than residential reservoirs. Anyways, the point to all of this stuff about the reservoirs is that there's a cost associated with the reservoir, and it can be massive. For perspective, a small waterfall might have a 350-gallon reservoir. A massive water feature might have a 30,000-gallon reservoir. The one behind me right now is over 10,000 gallons. That can hold almost 2 tanker trucks of water in it. Bigger the reservoir, bigger the cost. Let's talk about maybe some surprise expenses you might have. What about permitting, local requirements? Seems like someone always wants something, subdivision codes or quotas or what, they got stuff. Unforeseen objects in the ground. You just don't know what you don't know. Guys, let's end all of this talk about cost, talk about post-construction expenses. We are moving tons, sometimes hundreds of tons of materials back and forth across your property. It's gonna make a mess. The bigger the project, the bigger the mess. If it rains a lot during your project, there's a ton of mud to deal with. The more rain, the more mud. You're likely gonna have to make lawn repairs. On big jobs, you might need an entire new lawn. Depending on what you want and what you need, this could be light grading and seed and straw, or you may need somebody to come in and do a complete finish grade with topsoil and resod. Totally up to you. Guys, if you had an irrigation system to begin with, 2 things you're definitely going to think about. Number one, 100% chance that it was hit somewhere and it's going to need to be repaired because it's always right where we want to dig. And number 2, the dynamic of your landscape design has changed and you're going to need to create some new zone areas. So guaranteed, you're going to need to make irrigation repairs and adjustments. What about fences? Guys, if there was a fence, it might need some love. It may need repaired, put back together, etc. Or you might need a fence now based on subdivision requirements or local codes. All of that should be considered ahead of time. Guys, we should talk power right now. Did you have electricity to begin with? If there wasn't, you're gonna need to run the required power to the right spot once everything's finished. You never do the power first, you always do it last. Consider what your gas needs are. If you put in a fire feature that requires propane or natural gas, that may need to be tended to after the project's over with. My friends, it may seem like all of this is a lot, and it can be, but it's what we deal with day in and day out. I'm being transparent about all of this because we like all surprises to be good surprises. We like to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. We want you to end up with the water feature of your dreams and have a real understanding and good expectations so that your journey can be a better one. So stepping back to the beginning as a quick review, you want to consider your artist, the project size and scale, design complexity, access at your project, your drainage considerations, any underground surprises, bells and whistles, the size of your reservoir, and post-construction expenses are many of the things that you're going to want to consider when designing your water feature project that are going to make the price go up or the price go down. Guys, if you want to see prices of some past projects that we have done, check out our project profile pages on our website. They include stories, videos, short and long, photo galleries, and the price that we could recreate those jobs for today in the exact same conditions. If you ever want to chat with us, fill out our contact form on our website and we can have a quick, no obligation conversation about what you're thinking and how you're hoping that we can help. Guys, I'm John G with Modern Design Aquascaping, and our team builds world-class ponds, fountains, and waterfalls out of natural stone and wood. It was my pleasure to put this video together for you. I appreciate you spending a little time with the Adams family. John G out.